So the discussion of our group was about the industry of the future, as the French call it Industrie du Futur, and as the German call it Industrie 4.0, and the need for standardization around that industry. We had among the members in the discussion, we had mostly scholars, 6, 7 professors from universities, and 2, 3 persons representing the industry. To start the discussion, we had 3 talks. The first talk was, or I'll not present them in the chronological order. One talk was given by Michael Beigel from KIT, and he was presenting the Smart Data Innovation Lab, and I think this gives a good overview of the problems around Industry 4.0. The purpose of this innovation lab is that companies come with concrete problems, concrete data, and researchers try to solve this problem at a very fast pace. He was talking about 1-month contracts, and every week new companies come to the Smart Data Innovation Lab. And most of the time, so this is mostly about data analytics. And digitalization comes with a lot of data that could bring value if it is analyzed, if knowledge is made out of this data. The first problem and the biggest problem is that the data companies come with is not public, and they are not willing to share the data. They come with problems, but they want to keep the data. Within the innovation lab, there is they try to reuse the knowledge and the data they could have access to as much as possible to well, then reuse that data on other problems, other related problems, but it's hard, and it requires an harmonization, it requires standardization in the way the data is represented. Then, since they work at a very fast pace, a second problem is that of standardizing the workflow, the process they follow to do data analytics. That means there is a preparation phase, which is usually the longest phase, to bring the data in a format that is adequate for data analysis algorithms. Then there is the realization phase, where these algorithms are run against the data, and the finalization phase, which is about listing the conclusions, the analysis on the data. So here there are two needs for standardization: knowledge representation, data representation, and workflows to do data analysis. And in a way, the 2 other presentations were about these 2 problems and provide solutions on how to address these problems. The first talk by Maxime Lefrançois from IMT, Mines Saint-Étienne, was about knowledge representation. It talked about ontologies and the fact that there are already a lot of competing standards on how to represent data that comes from companies and in the field of manufacturing. There, he mentioned especially 3 standards that are not necessarily competing, but also complementary. The Web of Things standard from the W3C, the Semantic Sensor Network ontology, which is another W3C standard, and the Smart Application Reference Model, SARF, which is driven by Etsy. Here, so there are many standards, and there is always a trade-off to find between ease of usage and expressiveness of knowledge representations. So that was it for knowledge representation. The second aspect was standardizing a workflow for data analysis and how data is exchanged among stakeholders in Industrie 4.0, or I should say the industry of the future. And that brings us to the third presentation by Antoine Garnier from the International Data Space Association. So this is a consortium of companies and universities, I believe, that are specifying, designing an architecture, a reference model to exchange data from consumers and providers with specifications of services and applications that can be run on the data. Here, there was an example given on how to exchange CAD models that come from, what's it called? Computer-aided design models, so that a model designed by a company can be 3D printed on a printer from another company. The two main application domains for the reference architecture model are logistics, it seems, and healthcare, where privacy is very important. And in the way data is exchanged, there's a constant care about the fact that the data should be shared privately. So that was it for the three introductory talks we had in our session. I'll finish. I guess that's easier. In the afternoon, then we discussed about the outcomes of the session, and we mainly discussed two things: the issues that we could identify in these three talks, together with the experience of the different persons involved in the discussion, and then a strategy to talk about these issues, bring them to the industry, or get them from the industry, and find solutions to address them. And well, yeah, here I could hand over to Lionel, who will give the conclusions.
The outcome of the meeting. So yeah, there was this global agreement on the fact that there is really an awareness gap that we need to fill. The big companies do not have a clear strategy regarding standardization and industry and smart industry. Academics do not know really what are the needs for the needs of the companies, and small size companies do not know anything about standardization. So there is a gap to fill, and our idea was to create an event gathering the main political, industrial, and academic stakeholder together in order to share our expectation, in order to build a joint common understanding of the topic, to create a common vision. Actually, we need to create a common vision among all the actors. So what are the challenges to solve? What are the longer-term vision. We have to agree on to refine the vision of Industry 4.0. We don't know exactly. Any of us has a different understanding. So we need to come together and to create this vision in order to be able to have an impact on the standardization, to have an impact on the evolution of the European industry. So finally, we build an action plan. So end of November, we should be able to publish 2 papers. A first position paper, which is targeted to the industrial and political stakeholders, which present this future event. What are the objectives of the event? Why it is important for the European industry to come join with academy and build this common vision. And the second 2-page report in more focus more directed to the scientific community. So the idea then is to make some kind of lobbying, some kind of dissemination in order to bring, if we want to have, on this topic, either you play a big role or you disappear. It does not make sense to create a standard which will not be used by anybody. So our goal is to try to create this community, to create this common house in which we will be able to push some common vision and to be active actors in the future of Industry 4.0. And so we plan to organize at the beginning of July 2 events. One, a working group gathering big companies, SMEs, and academy on this to create this common vision about Industry 4.0 and standardization, and along with this workshop, a summer school, so that PhD students and future IT leaders will be able to exchange with the industrials and with the scientists, with people from the research. So we have a plan. It will be important to have the support from the German-French University, to have the support from the ministry, and also from the EU if we want to have an impact. Otherwise, of course, we can discuss. But if we really want an impact, we have to push this at an important level. I think there is an opportunity now for Europe. If we don't move, if there is no common vision that we can push together, if we work all in our different countries and without any big actor able to create the future industrial data platform, then it will be difficult for the European industry to leverage the opportunities proposed by the revolution of data. So German-French University can play this role because it's neutral, and it can bring all the stakeholders. So there is room for you, David, to play this lobbying role. I think it can be a nice opportunity for the German-French University to play a really active role in this movement that it's really important for the European industry. People are not aware of the risk, of the potential risk for the industry. We have to build this common house where we can bring a European vision, push some. We have push we focus on our specificities. Europe is not the US, it's not China. So we have to address this question of Industry 4.0 in a specific way. And so, this is the conclusion was we will try to change the industrial world. We will see, but at least we can try.